In this episode of Exeter Outdoors, we speak with the folks at the National Marine Life Center to get an update on the Squamscott Seal, which was taken in for rehab.
My name is Lisa Becker. I work at the National Marine Life Center in Buzzards Bay, Massachusetts. I'm the director of the Marine Wildlife Rehab program here at NMLC, and we rehabilitate and release marine mammals and sea turtles in order to advance science and education in marine wildlife health and conservation. So we pretty much, all year round, we have animals in our rehab hospital, anything from, the seal species that we see on the East Coast, and then as well as sea turtle species as well. They come in for triage and rehab, and then we also participate in Head Start programs for endangered native turtles. We are part of a region that's called the Greater Atlantic Stranding Region. So we work with many different partners together, and the Seco Science Center is one of our partners. So they focus on rescuing animals, and we focus on rehabilitating the animals and releasing them. So we pretty regularly admit seal patients that the Seco Science Center rescues, and then they are transported to us. So for this particular seal, the same thing happened. We got a call from SSC with the question if we could take in a new patient, and we said yes. So then this harbor seal came to us Wednesday afternoon last week. So she's been with us pretty much a week. She was in very, very rough shape when she got to us. And we were definitely concerned. She was in critical condition the first few days. There was a lot more that was sort of going on with her, and that really compromised her health than it was first, known. When you see the animal from a distance and, without like the respective diagnostics, it's sometimes hard to tell like how sick that animal really is. And also oftentimes wild animals, they are really good at masking, the trouble that they're like going through, and they're not showing how bad they're feeling to also, not make it easier for predators. So she was one of those cases where I know in the wild she was seen, eating fish and moving around, but as soon as she got to us, you could really see how sick she was. The rehabilitation for our seal patients typically encompasses like a time frame of like 3 months. That's a rough estimate. It goes a little quicker for animals that are older typically, just because the focus is on bringing them back to health. But that's pretty much all there is. If we take in really young animals, like meaning seal pups that might still be nursing, then we have a whole nother component that is to teach these young pups how to hunt for fish. So that can sort of extend that process a little bit. So, those animals typically stay 3 months, maybe a little bit longer. But then again, some older animals, like also she's a little bit older, it might be less than 3 months. So I think for her, we might be looking at something like maybe 2.5 months, something like that, maybe a little bit shorter for Lucky. So the good news is she's responding to treatment. So our hopes have increased quite a bit over the last few days. And then after that process is completed and we feel like that animal is ready to go back to the wild, then we work closely together with obviously our veterinarians, but then also the federal government, NOAA. We all work under NOAA's permit, and we have to apply for release. So everybody needs to kind of sign off on this process. And then we typically have roughly 2 weeks to plan the wild release. And then we do that and let the animal go back into the ocean. A lot of people ask if these animals go back to where they were found, and that is a good thing to do. We run into the challenge that we take in patients from multiple different states. So it is a little bit, a little tough for us sometimes to to bring the animals really back to where they came from, because we have to cover quite a distance, and transport is stress for the animal as well. So we try to keep that in mind. We make the decisions depending on species sometimes too. If we take an Arctic species that really should be going north, then sometimes we do travel back to New Hampshire, or sometimes even southern Maine, to bring them a little bit closer. For harbor seals and gray seals that are resident to this whole region, we tend to go local, a place where we feel like we can do a safe release, without many people or dogs running around, and then these animals tend to travel where they want to go anyways. So that's typically goes pretty successfully. Naming our patients is always an exciting process, especially for our volunteers. What we do at NMLC for seals is that we pick a naming theme for a whole year, together with our volunteers, with our supporters. We typically include the naming theme voting in our social media posts. So at the end of the year, it's actually coming up very soon, where we are voting on the new theme for 2023. So in 2022, people voted on the Muppets. So our theme this year was the Muppet Show. So we had to think really hard which name we would give to this female harbor seal weanling. So and we heard the story about the bald eagle that got sort of had a little situation with the seal about a fish. So because of that, we all together decided to name her Sam Eagle. Sam Eagle is a male Muppet, but we kind of modified it a little bit. So we're calling her Samantha Eagle. But the people that were involved in the admission of this patient were very, sort of excited to give her that particular name. So that's what we did.
If you're interested in learning more about the National Marine Life Center, you can visit their website at nmlc.org and follow their Facebook page for rehab updates.